Devastating earthquake in Morocco has killed at least 2,000, leaving a similar number injured. The heaviest casualties have been reported in provinces just south of Marrakesh. Also in this edition of Kantipur News, we have updates from the Asia Cup, where India play Pakistan later this afternoon. Good morning, I'm Prarambha Dahal. Let's begin with the main stories. Prime Minister Dahal holds all-party meeting for his upcoming foreign visit to seek suggestions with foreign relations experts this evening as well. Prohibitory order imposed in Sarlai headquarters Molangoa lifted. Any kind of assemblies not allowed for the next 72 hours. Maldives President Ibrahim Soli and challenger Mohammad Muizzu likely to face off in a second round of presidential election. Muizzu ahead in the first round but short of 50% required to win outright. And American teenager Coco Gauff fulfills long-promised potential by landing her first Grand Slam title. Fights back to see off Aryna Sabalenka in the US Open final. Prime Minister Dahal has held an all-party meeting regarding his upcoming foreign visits. Former Prime Ministers as well as leaders of parties represented in the Parliament have participated in the meeting at the office of the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers in Singha Darbar. Likewise, Minister for Foreign Affairs and former Ministers for Foreign Affairs have also attended the meeting. The Prime Minister's Secretariat has said that the Premier is also scheduled to hold dialogue with foreign affairs experts later today. Prime Minister Dahal is preparing to participate in the United Nations General Assembly in the United States of America and then embark on his official visit to China. The prohibitory order imposed in Sarlai headquarters Molangoa has been lifted. However, any kind of assemblies cannot be organized in the next 72 hours. Prior to that, the local administration had issued the prohibitory order from 4 p.m. yesterday to 8 a.m. this morning in a bid to prevent any untoward incident after a clash had occurred during the immersion of the statue of Lord Krishna on Krishna Janmashtami celebrations. The local administration had also called a gathering and urged everyone to maintain goodwill. Life is gradually returning to normal while public vehicles have resumed operation after the prohibitory order was lifted. The meeting of the Bagmati Province Assembly has been scheduled for today. The meeting is being held 2 months after the endorsement of the budget of the ongoing fiscal year on the 7th of July. However, the meeting today has remained uncertain as the meeting had been postponed on several occasions previously due to the obstruction by the opposition. The government had endorsed the budget by reaching an agreement with CPN-UML and Rashtriya Prajatantra Party. However, both the parties have become disgruntled, citing the authorities' disregard to the agreement. UML Parliamentary Party leader Jain Thapalia said that the parliament obstruction would be removed after the government fulfills its pledges. The government, meanwhile, has been saying that it is positive towards addressing the demands of the opposition. Preparations are underway to hold the province assembly meeting after conducting the meeting of the Provincial Coordination Committee. The government has geared up to register the bills related to health and information during the meeting today. A pillion rider has died in Radua of Daldura after being hit on the head by a rock that fell from above. Police officer of District Police Office Daldura, Kushma Nayak, said that 18-year-old Rakesh Aira of Amargadi Municipality 4 died in the unfortunate accident in K.I. Singh Highway in Radua. According to police, Aira who was riding on the back seat of the motorcycle was hit by the rock yesterday while he was headed to Daldura from Dipayal. He died while being transferred to Daldura Hospital in Thangadi earlier this morning. Police have said that the motorcycle rider, 35-year-old Narendra Paneru of Amargadi Municipality, Ward number 4, Daldura, is unharmed. 2 under construction motorable bridges connecting Dolakha with the capital and the Tarai region have remained stranded for the past 8 years. The bridges over the Tamakoshi River under the Lamo-Sangu-Jiri Road section and the Sunkoshi River in Khandichor of Sindhupalchok have remained stranded for the past 8 years. After the construction of new bridges were left stranded by Nilgiri National JV Company, public vehicles have been using the old bridges. A contract of 200 million rupees was awarded to replace the 40-year-old 2 bridges with new motorable bridges 7 years ago. And despite the extension of the contract on 2 occasions, construction works have yet to gain momentum. It is now time for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
The question is, why has the Public Service Commission failed to work effectively? Your options are A. Influence of power, B. Lack of capacity, and C. Pressure from interest groups. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Time now for the international news. Maldives President Ibrahim Solih and his main challenger Mohamed Muizzu are likely to face off in a second round of a presidential election, with results from Saturday's first round showing Muizzu ahead but short of the 50% needed to win outright. With nearly 195,000 votes counted, Muizzu, seen as favoring closer ties with China, led Solih, who has promoted ongoing warm ties with India, 46% to 40%. Authorities said around 75% of the 282,000 eligible voters had cast ballots. Solih, seeking a second five-year term, had championed an India First policy during his time in power. The coalition backing Muizzu has launched an India Out campaign, promising to remove a small Indian military presence of several surveillance aircraft and some 75 personnel. Muizzu entered the fray after former President Abdullah Yameen was banned from contesting the election by the Supreme Court in August following a conviction for corruption and money laundering. Thousands turned out early at over 570 polling stations across 187 islands. Maldivians were also voting at polling stations in India, Sri Lanka, Malaysia, Britain and Abu Dhabi. Moving on, the death toll from a strong earthquake that struck Morocco on Friday night has risen to 2,012, with more than 2,000 people injured. The Interior Ministry has said that of the 2,059 people injured during the earthquake, 1,404 were in a critical condition. Morocco's National Seismic Monitoring Institution updated the magnitude of the earthquake, which hit the North African nation on Friday at 11:11 p.m. local time, from 6.8 to 7.0 yesterday. The epicenter of the earthquake was near the town of Ighil in Al Khuz province, some 70 kilometers southwest of Marrakesh. Hundreds of people lined up to donate blood on Saturday afternoon in Marrakesh, responding to an emergency call from Moroccan health authorities. Morocco has declared 3 days of national mourning, with flags to fly at half-mast on all public buildings, according to an announcement from the Royal Palace on Saturday. The Interior Ministry of Morocco said that all available civil defense and rescue resources had been mobilized. The Royal Armed Forces of Morocco also launched an emergency deployment, arranging search and rescue teams, helicopters, drones, construction vehicles, logistics centers and hospitals to provide support to the quake-stricken areas. Now, India's capital, New Delhi, geared up for the second and final day of the G20 summit today amid rain. Security personnel were seen halting traffic and frisking commuters as traffic was diverted to ensure smooth access for the leaders and their delegations. The first day of the summit concluded yesterday with Indian Prime Minister announcing consensus on a declaration that included an agenda for achieving strong, sustainable, balanced and inclusive growth. Inclusion of African Union as permanent member of G20 also became an important highlight of the first day, as discussions will continue further on the final day of the summit. The Latin American and Caribbean Conference on Drugs came to an end in Cali with the call for a Latin American alliance to change anti-drug policy by recognizing drug use and addiction as a public health problem. Petro, the first left-wing president in Colombia's history, said at the closing ceremony that the anti-drug strategy should be reconsidered, while the Mexican president said United States' fight against fentanyl should be supported. Colombia, like other Latin American countries such as Mexico, faces persistent violence as a result of drug trafficking and the presence of cartels that are increasingly powerful militarily and economically and even defy states, according to security sources and analysts. The countries participating in the conference recognize the need to reduce the demand for drugs through prevention and to combat inequality, poverty, lack of opportunities, and violence in order to confront drug trafficking. Poor Things, a gothic sex-charged comedy directed by Greece's Yorgos Lanthimos, won the prestigious Golden Lion Award at the Venice Film Festival. Starring Emma Stone, Willem Dafoe and Mark Ruffalo, the British-made film wowed festival-goers with its zany story of a woman reanimated after suicide by a mad doctor who replaces her brain with that of her unborn baby. Childlike but with an adult's body, Stone's character Bella Baxter grows increasingly independent and excited by her sexual experimentations as she undertakes a voyage of self-discovery through a surreal version of 19th century Europe. Venice marks the start of the award season and regularly throws up big favorites for the Oscars, with 8 of the past 11 Best Directors awards going to films that debuted here. The top acting awards at the festival went to 2 US stars, Kylie Spaney, who played the former wife of Elvis Presley in the biopic Priscilla, and Peter Sarsgaard, who featured in the gritty family drama Memory. The runner-up Silver Lion Award went to Evil Does Not Exist, an enigmatic rural drama directed by Japan's Ryusuke Hamaguchi, the only Asian entry among the 23 films competing for the main prize.
I think we could all really agree that an actor is a person and that a writer is a person, but it seems that we can't. And that's terrifying, because this work we do is about connection. And without that, this animated space between us, this sacrament, this holy experience of being human, will be handed over to the machines and the 8 billionaires that own them.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Before we wrap up, here's a look into the top stories one more time. Prime Minister Pushpa Dahal holds all-party meeting for his upcoming foreign visit to seek suggestions with foreign relations experts this evening as well. Prohibitory order imposed in Sarlai headquarters Malangwa lifted. Any kind of assemblies or gatherings not allowed in the next 72 hours. Maldives President Ibrahim Solih and challenger Mohamed Muizu likely to face off in a second round of presidential election. Muizu ahead in first round but short of 50% required to win outright. And American teenager Coco Gauff fulfills long-promised potential by landing her first Grand Slam title. Fights back to see off Aryna Sabalenka in the US Open final. That is all for the moment. Our next news bulletin is at 6 p.m. Thank you for staying with us. Have a beautiful day ahead.